pitch. Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
Clayton Kershaw pitches a no-hitter.
It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. It's over. Muncy, a walk-off home run. This is way back. Walk 'em off. Chris Taylor.
Give me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back.
Clayton Kershaw is back. What kind of role will he have for the Dodgers this year? Will he have a big impact on the Dodgers in the postseason? We're breaking down the latest Dodgers trade rumors. We have injury updates. Bobby Miller is back. Walker Buehler is on the IL. What will the Dodgers pitching plan look like this weekend? Jam-packed episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers win.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball.
Grand slam. It's a double for Freddie. Magic.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. This is the most anticipated season in Dodgers history.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain, credentialed member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and make sure you comment GOAT Tawny down below. GOAT Tawny just killing it in the month of June, just absolutely smoking the baseball. 9 for his last 18, 3 home runs, 3 doubles. So definitely comment GOAT Tawny down below so you're eligible for our next giveaway, which comes at 95,000 subscribers. That's our next big giveaway. We'll have some more giveaways we're going to announce next week. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Of course, every episode of Dodgers Dugout Live starts with the Dodgers Nation poll question of the show. I asked you guys over on the X, do you think Clayton Kershaw will end up having a big role for the Dodgers in the postseason? Right now, 69% of you say yes, while 31% of you say no. So Clayton Kershaw is back. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live is brought to you by our friends over at Bet Online. Bet Online is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right up to the top fights in the UFC, and MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first bet. Bet Online, the game starts here. So we'll be taking you up to game time. You got Dodgers Rockies, game 4 of a 4-game set. Gavin Stone on the mound. The Dodgers try to take this series. And look, last night, we'll talk about that in a second here, but we have to start with the leadoff. The leadoff today is Clayton Kershaw back on the mound at the minor league level for the first time since game 1 of the NLDS, the first time in 356 days. Clayton Kershaw is back. Yeah, and really, what really stood out to me with Clayton Kershaw, he had 5 strikeouts, 3 innings at Rancho Cucamonga, and he struck out those 5 and 3, but really it was the swing and miss. It was the command. He induced 9 swinging strikes. He threw 36 pitches. He punched out 5 of the 11 batters that he faced. He allowed a run on 2 hits and a walk. And he had a pitch clock violation the 3rd inning. But really, that first inning, that first hit, that triple, some hard contact there. They scored on a sac fly. guy. But outside of that, Clayton Kershaw was fantastic. Clayton Kershaw in his first start in 256 games facing live competition, I thought was incredibly impressive. The fact that he goes out there, and I talked to Mike Linskog, who's the play-by-play for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Big shout out to him for always accommodating us and helping us be a part of the action. We appreciate you for that. But I look at the atmosphere there. It could have been the last time we ever saw him at Rancho Cucamonga, making a rehab start, and he looks like he's re-energized. He looks like he's ready to come back and help this team. It was the biggest outpouring of support as far as fan attendance and the media that was in attendance since Matt Kemp's rehab in 2012. And I think the big positives were the command was better. He told me he threw more strikes than he thought. He got 3 punch outs via that curveball. And I think the feel is already way ahead of schedule. The feel for that secondary stuff as far as the slider and the curveball. And I always say on this show, Clayton Kershaw is a happily married man, but he has a slide piece. And when he has the feel for that slider, he's going to go out there and he's going to get out big league hitters at a very high rate. And the other difference too, he worked in some changeups. He worked in some two-seamers, some sinkers, and you're seeing a lot of Dodgers pitchers implement the two-seam fastball. That really is the trend with Dodgers starters right now. And Clayton Kershaw coming back, I think he'll be back at some point, possibly right near the All-Star game, maybe right after. If you look at where he has in his progression, he's continuing to make steps in the right direction. He said he checked off a lot of boxes, and he's going to have to stretch out to 4 or 5 innings. Once he gets to those 4 or 5 innings and he has no setbacks and he's bouncing back really well, I think they're going to activate him. And I think you could see him either the week before the All-Star break or possibly after the All-Star break. But he's coming back very soon here, and it's just great. I mean, Kershaw bump days, what more can you say? I think one of my favorite things I saw yesterday, I was standing right next to Kersh by the bullpen along with other media members, and all of a sudden you see the minor leaguers for Rancho Cucamonga. They're all walking up and they line up to watch him throw his bullpen session. These are guys that were babies when Clayton Kershaw made his first appearance in the show, and you could just feel the aura. You could just feel the admiration that these guys had for him. I talked to Kendall George, the top prospect, one of the top prospects for the Dodgers down in Rancho, and he told me, hey, it's just so exciting to face Clayton Kershaw. I mean, it's just something that you tell your kids about, your grandkids about. It's a first ballot Hall of Famer walking statue, and I think it was a great experience down there. I think they handled it well as far as, hey, this is someone who's pitched on the biggest stage that you can pitch on. He's pitched in the World Series, and then to pitch at Rancho in front of over 4,000 screaming Dodgers fans, who we met a lot of. I met a lot of you guys. Really cool to meet a ton of you guys, fans of the show. I want to give you guys a shout out. Absolutely, because you guys were killing it out there, giving all that support to all of our shows and everything we do here. Nicholas, I think Jose Vasquez was out there. So definitely want to send a shout out to the Dodgers Nation day ones out there, always rock with us. But yeah, also drop your comments down below. We're going to get into some comments here. Why he ever added a sinker is beyond me. That's from Nicholas over on YouTube. Roy Estrada, DFA Biggio, and call it a day. Bring up a deserving prospect. When you see someone put out furniture during trash day, there is a reason. Someone's trash is someone's treasure. Does not apply here. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's the free couch yet, right? Hasn't got off to a great start. I'll have some thoughts on Kevin Biggio and how I think they should change that position and the roster move that they could make that could infuse this lineup with a little more offense. But first, let's get into some Clayton Kershaw. We talked to him after the game about his start. Here was Kersh after his first start in 256 days.
You talked about not being very excited about going to rehab starts, but considering it's your first major arm surgery, did you find more value in this one than maybe some of the past?
I mean, there's a ton of value in doing rehab starts. It's just no fun. You know, you don't want to. The pitches that you throw, you want to make them count in the big leagues. So that's my goal. Obviously, is to get back and do that. But like I said before, it's something you got to do, and they make it great here for me. And family came out, and so it was it was a great experience so far, at least until tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
And 3 of your 5 strikeouts come via that curveball. Just how would you assess kind of the feel for that pitch in particular at this part of the process?
Yeah, it felt fine today. I think I probably threw more strikes than I probably expected, honestly. But I thought it went all right. Yep, I threw some 2-seamers weren't great. I threw a couple changeups, got some swing and miss on. So threw everything according to what I have. Yeah, I think it went good. Yeah, I mean, checked off a lot of boxes. Got through 3 innings. So first time in a game setting and all those things. So it was fun to get back out there. I hadn't done that in a while. So as long as everything comes out tomorrow fine, I think I'm on for the next one. Yeah, it's always fun. I think it's fun for me to come down here and get to see minor league baseball again, which is fun, and hang out with the guys a little bit. And the crowd's always great too. So it was a fun night.
So the first thing that stands out there was not what he said, which was great, checking off boxes, mixing in changeup and 2-seam fastball, the effectiveness of that curveball. It was the shirt. That shirt looked like it had been chewed up by 100 dogs right there. It looked like the shirt he wore in his first start. I mean, that collar has seen better days, but we know Clayton Kershaw is a creature of habit. He used his glove for a long time before they won the World Series, that Wilson black mitt that had become synonymous with. But great to see Clayton Kershaw back out there on the mound. And one thing I want to say about Kersh that I think a lot of people are forgetting is that before the injury last season, before he went down and he was having one of his best starts of the season against the Colorado Rockies, and it turned to shoulder inflammation. Then ultimately on November 3rd, after the worst start of his career, where he gave up 6 runs and he got rocked by the Diamondbacks in game 1 of the NLDS, he had that surgery on November 3rd to repair the glenohumeral ligaments and capsule in his left shoulder. Now, that looks like it's 100% repaired. And before he was injured last season, he was still one of the top 10 to 20 pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. How soon people forget. Kershaw in April, he was really good. A 1.89 ERA in 6 starts, and he had 41 strikeouts and 5 walks. April 18th, he gets his 200th win of his career. June 27th, in Coors Field, a place where he has struggled at times, he was pitching great. He allowed just a single and a walk in 6 scoreless frames before being removed from that game. And before the injury, he had a 2.55 ERA. That was 4th in the National League. He had the 5th highest strikeout rate at 27.7%. He was top 10 in punchouts with the 105, top 10 in FIP at 351. His walk rate sat at 6.3%. There's no reason to think that Clayton Kershaw won't return and at the very least be a effective starter for this team because he's not velocity reliant. Yesterday, he was sitting 88, 89. He did touch 90 once, and that definitely was a concern when he did start to struggle after the injury last year. After the injury last year, only one of the 105 fastballs that he threw touched 90 miles per hour. So the fact that he's already hitting 90 in his rehab starts and he's continuing to ramp up, I think that says that Clayton Kershaw is in a really good spot. I think that Clayton Kershaw is going to come back and help this team. I think that Clayton Kershaw is going to make a big impact for the Dodgers this season. And I would not be shocked if he comes back, gives you 10 starts around that. He's effective. The Dodgers, they go on to win the World Series, that Clayton Kershaw goes out on top. He wins the World Series, then he calls it a career. I think that is in the cards this season. If the Dodgers win the World Series in 2024 and Clayton Kershaw has a big impact on that, I think that he'll want to go out on a high and go out winning that World Series. But Mr. Tonio, big Clayton Kershaw fan, he was trying to, Tony Taters was really trying to hide his fanboy. I mean, we were right by the dugout. Clayton Kershaw walks out and you could just see the energy. You could feel it. I mean, what was that like to see Clayton Kershaw up close and personal, Tony Taters?
Dude, I've been following, obviously like most of us, I've been following Kershaw since the start. I've seen him in Chicago. I've seen him in LA, San Diego, Washington, DC, Milwaukee. Just to see him, but I've never been that close, man. I couldn't even believe it, dude. It was just so great to see him, the energy. I was chilling in the dugout with you, and then I'm just chilling, looking at my phone. I look to my left, Clayton Kershaw walks out, and I'm just like, just my chest just expanded. I was just like, dude, it was just so good. And he's so huge. He's a massive dude. It was just awesome to see him. And then honestly, that was my first game of the year at the Rancho Cucamonga. So it was good to see some baseball too, especially with Clayton Kershaw on the mound. So sick.
Yeah, no, incredible. I mean, anytime you get to see him in that kind of setting, it's baseball in its purest form. And to see him in his routine, that's the thing that always sticks out with Clayton Kershaw, is nothing's going to shake him for his routine. After the game, by the clubhouse, the timeless sort of clubhouse there at Rancho Cucamonga, there were Dodgers fans as far as you could see. They were lined up to try to get an autograph. I knew he signed some autographs after that, so it was great to see. I mean, it felt like there was a rock star there. It felt like there was a Beatle there. There was coming out and going to embrace the fans. Clayton Kershaw, he gets all the love from this Dodgers fan base for good reason. But I see people talking about more about Kevin Biggio, saying the apple fell far from the tree. Michael DeGretti, what up, Dougie Fresh? By the way, anytime you guys get a fire take, that was more of a finish him though for that one. We got some about watching on their work. I see we got the Kershaw's my favorite, almost teared up. That's from Oxy Drake. Can you move the comments up a little down? They're blocked. We got to also agree that Kershaw is the better hope over Buehler and Miller because of his veteran experience and the umpire respect he'll get. There we go. D-Mac, always listening to the lives during work. Got my time flying. Shout out from Santa Paula. That's from Gone Skis. Give me a comment of this show for that. You know, I appreciate that. Appreciate that. We always apologize to your bosses for the production. Now, your production is the productivity at the office is not going to be as great today because you got this show, you got the game at 12:10. But Clayton Kershaw is back. Okay, next thing we're going to get into a little 3 up, 3 down. 3 things I like, 3 things I don't like right now in the world of Dodger baseball. 3 things I'm down with as well. That's coming up next here on Dodgers Dugout Live.
Here's an 0-2 again and a swing and a miss. Swinging on a high fastball. And there's that quick inning he's been looking for. 1, 2, 3 for the first time.
All right, so first on the 3 up, 3 down. The first up, Bobby Miller is back. It is Bobby's world once again. Bobby Miller made his return. He was dealing with his own shoulder injury, and it took a little longer than I think they originally had planned for it, but Bobby Miller came back, and it wasn't the softest landing spot, right? It was in Colorado at Coors Field. That's not the place you want to start after you've been missing some time, but still, he looked really solid. He goes 6 1/3 innings, gives up 5 runs in 6 hits, had 2 strikeouts, 3 walks. Now you look at those numbers, okay, 6 1/3, 5 runs on 6 hits, 2 strikeouts, 3 walks, a home run. You don't love those numbers, but I think you have to look at his start as a whole, because if you look at that first inning there, the home run that he gave to Tolia, that was a situation where he missed on that 14 fastball. He missed and it leaked out over the plate. If he gets that pitch back, I look at the length, and if he gets that pitch back, you could look at him going 6 1/3 innings of 2 or 3 run ball in Colorado. So yes, he did make a mistake, but still, I think overall the stuff looked good. He was efficient, got 3 double plays. He worked his way around traffic. He got some quick outs, and I think it's what we always say: 2 out walks, they'll kill you. Right? Bobby Miller said that after the game, and that's just the truth. I mean, you can't issue 2 out walks, and anytime you're a young pitcher coming back from an injury, that is always going to hurt you in those situations, and that's exactly what happened there in that first inning. After he walked Stallings, that was the kicker right there. And I do like the fact, though, that he did lean more on that 2-seam fastball than he typically does. And that's where you saw a lot of ground ball outs. You saw him get those 3 double plays. And look, anytime you miss on a pitch down Broadway against a really good hitter, yeah, that's going to happen. And he took him deep, and that's what it was. But still, I think despite the fact that the line doesn't look good, I think that he did a lot of things that you wanted to see in his first start back. And I think that he's someone that you need to get re-excited about, right? This time last year, it was Miller Mania, right? It was Bobby's world. Everyone was talking about this guy being the next ace for the Dodgers. And yes, he did have his ups and downs, but there were more ups than downs. Didn't have a great start in game 2 of the NLDS, but still, I like the way he performed. I like the fact that he came back out there in the 7th, got an out, and at that point, the command was down, gives up that double to Bouchard, but if he doesn't start that 7th inning, and that was it for him, I think there's a good chance the Dodgers probably end up winning that game. I think he went a little too long yesterday. He gives Daniel Hudson the ball, but that error by Kevin Biggio and that double by Amador, that really just hurt him. And then Brendan Doyle, he got that sacrifice fly. But all in all, I definitely think Bobby Miller pitched very well in his return to the mound. And I think that he's going to be someone to keep your eyes on to say, if this guy can reach the heights that he was reaching last season, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in the mix to be a game 3 starter in the postseason, to even get as far as a game 2 starter if Yoshinobu Yamamoto doesn't return for whatever reason, or they don't swing a trade for an impact starter. So I think it is time, like I said, to get re-excited about Bobby Miller. He makes his way back in the rotation, and I thought, all things considered, I think he pitched well. Now, my first down of the day is Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler sent down to the 15-day IL with right hip inflammation. He talked about it after Tuesday's game. That was a strong possibility that was going to happen. And Walker Buehler, he's going through it. And his last start, he gives up 7 runs in 4 innings. That tied his career worst in most runs he's ever allowed in a start. He did it 2 times in 2019. Did it also once at Coors Field, so it shouldn't come as a massive surprise. But like Walker Buehler said, Coors Field isn't the stadium. It isn't the ballpark to allow hittable pitches. And he was doing just that. Too many 4-seam fastballs out of the plate. Too much hard contact, quite frankly. And if you look at even the slider to Montero, I mean, that is a cement mixer slider that runs right out over the plate, and his stuff just isn't good enough to get away with those mistakes. And I think one thing that I never thought I would see with Walker Buehler is he's not pitching with the same level of confidence that we saw when he was at his peak, right? When he was butane, right? And yes, he isn't the high octane butane anymore, right? It's not the low octane butane anymore either, though. I mean, he's someone that can be right in between, right? He doesn't need to be a Bugatti. He doesn't need to be Bugatti butane anymore. He can be a nice 5 series, right? You can still get from point A to point B with Walker Buehler. He just has to find a way to fix his command. And you look at the big problem area for Buehler this season, he's leaving too many pitches out of the plate, and that's leading to too many home runs. He's allowed 10 home runs this season in his 8 starts. And for his career, the most home runs he's allowed in a season was 20 home runs. That was in 30 starts in 2019. You look at his numbers, a 5.84 ERA, a 6.04 FIP. Opponents are hitting 301 against him. They're slugging 542. So those are really bad numbers. And through 8 starts, I think what really stands out for me with Walker Buehler is you're just not seeing him take steps in the right direction. And I think you're seeing him take steps in the wrong direction, and he's not cleaning up any of these issues that you've seen that have led to these bad numbers, quite frankly. And I think for him, pressing that reset button, getting to the bottom of his mechanics, and also getting to the bottom of his sequencing as well. I think you look at his overall numbers, and I see people out there too, people saying, okay, Walker Buehler's this year's Noah Syndergaard. Come on now. Come on. Show some respect to Walker Buehler, because it's not the same as a Noah Syndergaard, because we've seen Walker Buehler be effective when he has some modicum of fastball command, and he's also using his secondary pitches. But this year, the velocity on the 4-seam fastball, people act like he's throwing 88. He's still averaging 95.5 miles per hour on the fastball. In 2022, the last time we saw Buehler, he was averaging 95.2. Okay, injured that season, probably not 100%. 2021, averaging 95.3 miles per hour. So he's still averaging 95 plus on the 4-seam fastball. It just, he's throwing it less, and he doesn't have the command with it. So that is really the big issue. If you want to be the man, you have to have the command. And no, Buehler has not taken this season off, right? It's not Buehler's season off, right? He is going to get back to the drawing board and hopefully find a way to be effective. But having said all that, I think I've had this feeling all season long. Buehler has to be looked at as a cherry on top. He has to be looked at as icing on the cake. You can't take Buehler and say he's going to be that guy. You can't guarantee it. If it happens, great. But if you're truly all in on this season, you have to address that elsewhere. You got some comments here. Keith Potter, Buehler is not washed. He still has velo. It's just straight, no movement. Right now, he should be a high leverage reliever. That's a fire take. It's a hot take if I've ever seen one. A high leverage reliever for Walker Buehler. Look, I mean, just kind of on the outset, yes, all starting pitchers end up as relievers if their starting pitcher career doesn't work out, right? All relievers started as starters at one point, but I still think that Buehler still can be a number 3, 4, 5 starter for a major league team. Is it going to be the Dodgers next year? I highly doubt that. But if you're Buehler, I don't think you want to take on that role this season unless it's a specialized role when the postseason rolls around. I think that's very possible. I think that for him to have a role for this team in the postseason, unless he completely turns things around and he looks like the Buehler we saw from a couple years ago, yeah, it most likely will be as a reliever, a multi-inning guy, someone that you can use in a piggyback role, maybe even with Clayton Kershaw. I mean, wouldn't that be something special? A piggyback role with Clayton Kershaw, there's potential for that kind of stuff. But I think for me, there's no doubt about it, is yes, the fastball is flat, and all fastballs aren't created equal. And you look at the spin on the four-seam fastball. This year it's at 2286 RPM. In 2020, that was at 2546. So that was the highest it ever got on the four-seam fastball, 2546 on the RPM. Now it's down to 2286. I do see people out there that say that he is a sticky stuff merchant, right? Or he heavily relied on spider tack and the sticky stuff to get that four-seam fastball. Yeah, sure. It was a factor for Buehler, just like it's a factor for all pitchers. You're not seeing that perceived rise and hitters swing underneath that four-seam fastball like we saw when he was at his peak. But having said that, after the sticky stuff crackdown in 2021, Buehler still posted a sub-3 ERA. He was still able to be effective. You just didn't see as much of that four-seam fastball. In 2020, through the four-seam fastball 53.8% of the time, that number's down to 28.6%. So, yeah, that's why I warned you guys when the season started to not expect that version of Walker Buehler to walk through that door. But even in 2021, I mean, he had a career-high 33 starts. He was third in the National League with a 2.47 ERA. He had a 3.10 expected ERA. He had a 3.16 FIP. So he showed that before the injury, the second Tommy John, he was still able to get hitters out at an extremely effective rate. So I still think that it's in there somewhere, but I do think this was the right move. And I think he just sounds dejected and demoralized at the moment. So the morale isn't very high for Buehler. Here was him after his start a few nights ago.
You know, the phrase is like, get the hook out of your lip, right? You're on the hook for the loss, and the team covers you. And so, you know, you give up 7 runs and don't get the loss. Like, if there's any silver lining, it's that. But, you know, we're just trying to play good baseball. Obviously, we've had a tough couple of days with injuries and things like that. And to come and win the first 2 and win one of them like that, I think is huge for our team. And, you know, hopefully come back and starting pitcher will go deep and throw well, and we'll win again.
8 starts in here, like, did you think the process would be further along by now, or that the results would be better by now, or kind of, I know it kind of been the same question we've asked a lot. But
yeah, I mean, I don't have much of a different answer for you. You know, at some point there's, you know, we've thought about kind of taking a blow, taking a month off, taking a week off, whatever, trying to figure out how to kind of get me reset, and, you know, maybe that's coming, maybe not, I don't know. You know, we'll see. You know, it sucks to feel kind of invaluable or like you're hampering your team, and you know, at the end of the day, we really like our team and want to be ready for the end of the year, and I'm going to kind of do whatever I need to do to feel like I can help our team in you know, at the end of the year, and do everything in my power to be valuable enough to be on those rosters, and so I like winning games in the regular season. We all like performing and whatnot, but that's just not what I play this game for. And so, we'll have conversations and whatever we think we need to do to get me ready for the end of the year, that's what we're going to do.
Man, I just want to give out and give a nice hug, right? I mean, he definitely sounds like he's really down on himself. And one thing I really want to say, I do not want to see any Walker Buehler, Noah Syndergaard comparisons, okay? Noah Syndergaard was weird. Let's just say it. He was weird. Any guy who says that they would give their firstborn son to get the velocity back to where it was, that's just strange, okay? The difference between Walker Buehler and Noah Syndergaard is Walker Buehler can accept the reality that he has to retool and get to a different level and in some ways reinvent himself, right? Whereas Noah Syndergaard, he thought that there was that 99 mile per hour Thunder Thor guy still in there, but he truly wasn't. Whereas Walker Buehler, I think he truly understands that there's a reinvention project that is in progress that he has to work his way through. And a couple things. One, no one's going to work harder than Walker Buehler. Two, no one wants this more than Walker Buehler. And three, this is a Dodgers legend-ish, okay? Without Walker Buehler, this team isn't where it is today. He's one of these core members, right? He's not up there with the Kershaws and the Koufax or any guys like that. He's not going to get his number retired. He's not going to the Hall of Fame, but you know how Walker Buehler made you feel when he was at his best. So let's show a lot of support for Walker Buehler because I think he absolutely needs it. And I do think that he still has it in him. I think it's almost like a movie star that transitions to doing TV, right? He's got to be a movie star that goes to TV, man. Kevin Costner, great movie star, Field of Dreams. I mean, so many great movies. Yellowstone, right? You can do some TV, okay? So I think Walker Buehler is going to be just fine. It's just going to take some time. And I do think that ultimately he ends up as someone who is a 3 that has days where he pitches like a 2. But that's going to help a lot of teams next year. I don't think that team will be the Dodgers. We got A Silva 6. Yo, D-Mac, did you see that Kendrick concert last night? So I was in Rancho covering Kershaw, so I didn't get to see it, but of course I spent at least a couple hours watching all the highlights. I did watch Drake's funeral, if you're asking me. Yes, I did. That was historic. I mean, I think that Kendrick, one thing I want to say, I really wish that Kendrick in one of those rap battles, in one of those diss tracks, right? Meet the Grams, Not Like Us, Euphoria, at least one bar, I wanted to see him call out Drake and say, LA got Ohtani and not Toronto, right? Use Ohtani in a verse saying that LA got Shohei Ohtani, not Toronto. He was on a plane to Toronto. I mean, it was right there. But yeah, I mean, that was historic. I mean, that concert yesterday, what more can you say? Kendrick Lamar. K-Dot. By the way, this team, even without Mookie Betts, they're going to be all right, just like Kendrick Lamar says. But I'd give my firstborn's tricep to Yoshi too. Keith Potter, you're killing me in the comments today, man. I'll give you some love. A little bruh, but also fire tank combination there. We got I'd give my lunch for a World Series. That's it? Your lunch, SK? Come on now. A little more than that. And maybe it's a really nice lunch. I mean, where'd you go? To Jersey Mike's or something? I mean, it's probably a really nice 5-star lunch. But who cares about Kendrick? D-Mac is the man. What up, Nefarious over there on YouTube? Mario over on YouTube. Buehler comes back only if he gets a team-friendly discounted bag. I agree, too. I mean, there is a world where they have injuries to certain starters and he doesn't put the gear together that he wants. But let's not forget, he's not the youngest guy in the world. If he comes back and he needs a solid end of the season, he could put himself in a position to get a deal with another team for sure. And I think you look at what Jack Flaherty signed for and deals similar to that, there is a prove-it deal out there. That would be the possibility to me. Sammy Boy, I trust Buehler next year. I'll take him at $9 million for 1 year. Yeah, I mean, geez. D-Mac's #1 fan. I really hope the team pursues Crochet as insurance to many ifs with the rotation. Yeah, I think Garrett Crochet, #1 question with Garrett Crochet is, do the Dodgers give a lot of prospect capital for a guy that hasn't done it for a long time, for a guy that hasn't done it as a starter ever for a full season? That's a big, big roll of the dice. So if you could get it without a massive, massive overpay and you can make it make sense with either a Kopech or a Luis Robert Jr., go full blockbuster, I mean, that's something that you could pursue as well. But I think the Dodgers, as long as they stay healthy, they have a lot of depth. in their starting rotation at the minor league level, guys like Landon Knack, where you could theoretically trade for Crochet and load manage him. You could even shut him down all August, bring him back September, have him empty the tank for a World Series, and boom, that's what it's all about. You win that World Series. Now, my next up here, that's going to go to Andre Lipsius, man. This is a big Andre Lipsius household here. Okay, I'm the conductor of the Give Andre Lipsius a Chance. Free Andre Lipsius from OKC. Yesterday, OKC, down to their final strike, he gets the game-tying hit. He had 2 hits, 2 RBI. He has hits in his last 4 games. For the year, he's hitting .303 with a .949 OPS, a 129 weighted runs created plus. So the reason why I think Andre Lipsius deserves an opportunity is because you have to see what you have in guys like this. Typically, if you rake consistently and you're his age, you get an opportunity in the show. Most organizations around Major League Baseball, Andre Lipsius would already have been called up. And you really have nothing to lose. If he comes up and rakes, it's one of the best stories of the year for the Dodgers, right? You found your next diamond in the rough. I said a couple weeks ago, we need the next Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Chris Taylor. Where's the next reclamation project on the offensive side as a position player? Maybe Lipsius could be that guy. And if it doesn't work out, you just DFA him. You have nothing to lose. And after yesterday, Cavan Biggio, he continues to not impress offensively and defensively. I mean, would Lipsius give you a better at-bat right now at the big league level than Austin Barnes, than Gavin Lux, than Cavan Biggio? Probably, right? I mean, let's just be honest here. And I just want to see what they have. So call up Andre Lipsius. Now, my next down, and it is a little early, but yeah, Cavan Biggio just hasn't really been the guy that I think that they had hoped he would be. It's just an extremely small sample size too. So it's important to not get too carried away. And I see you guys in the chat talking about Cavan Biggio a lot here, but he's 3 for 17, hitting 176, 6 strikeouts and 17 at-bats, a 52 OPS plus. So he's been 48% below league average since he's gotten his opportunity. He's only played in 6 games so far, 22 plate appearances, but it's kind of one of those things where he just doesn't really pass the eye test, right? I mean, defensively at third base yesterday, he had a costly error that really flipped the game and really allowed the Colorado Rockies to win by a walk-off. By the way, a walk-off on a sac fly is one of the most underwhelming and unsatisfying things I've ever experienced in life. It's like when you're trying to sneeze and then the sneeze doesn't come out, right? Like, it's the worst. I mean, Tonio, give me your thoughts on a sac fly walk-off, Tony Taters.
I mean, TBH, if it was the Dodgers, I'd like it. I would.
Not even the Dodgers. You're right, maybe.
Come on, dude. Even the Dodgers. But, I mean, last night, whatever. But it is underwhelming. Everybody wants to see it, even like a line drive single. But walk-off sac fly, out of 10, it's a 3 for baseball experience for me. Sucks.
A 3 for baseball experience. Okay, I like that. I give it like a 2. I mean, if it was the Dodgers, sure, why not? But I mean, I don't think Brenton Doyle is going to save that ball and get it authenticated, right? Just for that. But my next down is actually, let's go up. Let's go up and let's go as in calling up. And the Dodgers tomorrow, you could see Landon Knack. That is the feeling right now. Talking to some people, Dave Roberts has pretty much hinted at it, but they could call up Landon Knack to start tomorrow, or Dave Roberts said before the game that they could go with Ryan Yarbrough. And I like the idea of bringing Landon Knack back up and continue to give him opportunities. So far in the season, Knack a 2.61 ERA, a 3.52 expected ERA, a 4.64 FIP. Not a ton of strikeouts. Is due for a little negative regression there. But yeah, I mean, I love me the Knack attack, man. I love the way he goes out there. When he's attacking the strike zone, he can go out there and be effective. And he's someone that you just like to see, just that next farmhand, just continue to get opportunities. And I think Ryan Yarbrough has done a fine job in his opportunities, but Knack is someone that I think he needs another shot at the big league level. I mean, the 4-seam fastball, slider, changeup, curveball combination I just like to see him pitch. Fun guy, commands those 4 pitches. When he goes out there, he can have a lot of success. So give me Landon Knack. I mean, we just talked about the spin on Buehler's fastball around 2,200. Knack's around 2,410. I mean, Knack definitely has a knack for coming up in big situations, throwing that 4-seam fastball with spin. So there's the roster move. And then next down I got is down as in I'm down for the Dodgers to make this move. John Heyman's reporting that the Dodgers, Yankees, Orioles, and Phillies, as well as the Chicago Cubs, have interest in pursuing a trade for Tanner Scott. And if you are new to the program, Dodgers Dugout Live, first of all, subscribe. But if you're older to the program, if you've watched this show for years, I've been talking about Tanner Scott as one of the missing pieces for this bullpen for quite some time. And yes, the walk rate is high this season. Yes, he did get off to a slow start this year. But Tanner Scott, and when you look at how much he would cost and the fact that he would be a rental unless the Dodgers get an extension done or try to sign him in the offseason, but he's only under contract for the remainder of this season. And the ERA sitting at 174. Expected numbers have gone down last couple of weeks. 3.25 expected ERA, 4.13 expected FIP. The strikeout rate has gone down from 12 last season down to 9.87. Walk rate has ballooned from 270.77 to 610. But still, this is an impact reliever that, yes, Alex Vesia has had a really great year and I still think that we have to see it in the postseason to fully out of that trust tree per se, right? But you look at the expected numbers of Tanner Scott, 97th percentile in expected batting average, 89th percentile in fastball velocity. That's the difference between the regular season and the postseason. Alex Vesia, a lot of success in the regular season, hasn't had that same amount of success in the postseason, hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but Tanner Scott averaging 96.5 miles per hour on his 4-seam fastball. He goes with a 4-seam fastball 58.7% of the time, the slider 41.1% of the time. So really a 4-seam fastball slider pitcher. And I love the expected stuff. Only thing he needs to correct is the command. The walks are high right now. The barrel rate is a little lower than we've seen as far as percentiles in the 43rd percentile, but hard hit percentage, limits hard contact, high ground ball rate, average exit velocity is low. Get me Tanner Scott. Get me Tanner Scott from the Miami Marlins. That is the reliever you need to add. He's number 1 right now because Mason Miller, the cost is going to be too high. And right now you don't have the luxury of sending all those prospects for a Mason Miller, right? You need another starter. You need another outfielder, right? So Tanner Scott's someone that can be had on the cheaper side when you consider the value. But some comments. What are your guys' thoughts on Tanner Scott? Do you guys want Tanner Scott on the Los Angeles Dodgers? What up, D-Mac? What up, BT Foul? D-Mac, who you trading for Tanner Scott? I mean, you really wouldn't have to give a lot of top prospects when you look at the fact that Tanner Scott in his contract situation, he is going to be expiring, right? You don't have to worry about that. For someone like a Tanner Scott, you wouldn't have to give up a top 10 prospect. You wouldn't have to give up someone like a Josue DePaula or a Dalton Rushing, some of these prospects that we've been talking about for names like Luis Robert Jr. or names like Garrett Crochet or anything like that. You wouldn't have to do that. I mean, you could definitely go on the lower side, right? I mean, who knows what the Marlins are after, but you would definitely not have to give a top prospect, right? I mean, they have a lot of great prospects. Austin Gauthier, the Jake Geloffs, guys like that are lower on the totem pole right there. I think for them, I mean, you look at the deal they did a couple years ago for Kyle Hurt and Alex Vesia for Dylan Floro. They're definitely going to want some pitchers back. But yeah, even if it's a Ronan Kopp or a Justin Robleski who's been really, really good, Tanner Scott is someone that can absolutely have a big impact on your bullpen because there's no guarantee that a Brusdar Graterol is going to come back and be effective. Daniel Hudson, as good as he's been, it feels like it's always touch and go. Joe Kelly, it always takes one pitch for him to go on the IL. For as great as his bullpen has performed in certain spots, they definitely could use some stability And I think Tanner Scott is someone that is one of those postseason game-changing impact pitchers that they could certainly add. But a couple more. We got to Ohtani, LFG. Did he hit a home run? We're live in the game now, or what? A Dodgers show. Yeah, we're about to wrap right here, guys. So we are going to. Mr. Siva, you trade Rushing, expect a riot heading by they're not. I don't think they would trade Dalton Rushing unless they feel like he's going to change. I mean, they have a catcher for 10 years, right? And he'll probably catch for at least 4 or 5 of those years at the very least in Will Smith. But unless Dalton Rushing is going to move to third, which they definitely have a need there at some point, you have to take advantage of that. I think Rushing, I've had him on this show, and Rushing could absolutely do that. But, all right, guys, but that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Dark Cat, we will put on the game for sure. Don't worry, guys. I watch the full game. I do the post-game show. And then what I do in the next morning, I rewatch the game. I watch every game twice. But the love Shohei. Thanks for the stream. Let's go Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. But thanks again, guys, for producer Tony Taters. My name is Doug McKain. Follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. That's going to do it, though. Thanks again, guys. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue.